Hi, this is Captain Montreal.
Hi, Captain Montreal. It's Stacy.
So I'm gonna be connected via my cell phone, and but I'm gonna be looking at the website through on chat through my iPad. So you'll see me twice. One's my iPad, one's my phone, but I'll only be talking through my phone. So you'll get to see that.
Okay, so let's see. Say something again and let's see it light up, and I'll know which one to use. Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yep. Okay, I know which
O-
one.
Okay, so I'm about to join with my iPad, so I can kind of use that. And now I gotta mute that one. Okay, I'm gonna figure this one out. Okay, forget that. Okay, I'm not doing that.
Okay.
Okay, I'm not going to do that. I'll just use my
Okay.
phone to look at the chats.
Okay.
All right.
It's pretty quirky, isn't it?
Is it is. It is. How fun.
Let's see. And it seems like every time I log on to this, some features change, and the participant list is not what it used to be for me.
Right.
Let's see.
Yeah, so
Okay.
I've I've got I've got you and me and call-in user 2 and Don Fullerton on.
Oh, let's see. I see Dawn. Okay. I have Dawn on mute. Everybody that logs in should be
Right.
on mute.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep, copy. All right.
All right. Let's see. I'm watching the clock. So about 2 minutes to. Do you want to do a 2 minute warning?
I will.
Okay. Perfect. All right. I'm going to put myself on mute for now.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, Ron. This is Captain Montreal. Thanks for uh, signing in and being a part of this WebEx. I see you're already logged on and ready to go.
Hey, good morning. Got here a little bit early. Want to be ready.
All right, sounds good. I got you, Eric, and Eric confirmed you're saying the prayer today. Yes.
That's what they tell me.
All right, good to go. Good to go. I appreciate that. I see Heather has dialed in. Thanks for being with us, Heather, today, and Troy Hamilton. So that's good. We'll be starting in a few minutes, but appreciate everybody being a part of the event.
Captain or Stacy, can you hear me? This is Troy.
Hey, Troy. This is Mike. I can hear you. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Hey, Heather. This is Mike Monreal. Can I get a sound check from you?
For entry 1328014.
This is Eric. I can hear you just fine.
Okay. Thank you.
Captain Monreal, I unmuted Heather. I'm going to try one more time. Heather? Heather, are you able to respond? I see that you're trying to respond, but I think you might have your cell phone mute. No?
Hey, Eric, you
Stacy,
might
can
have
you
to
hear
put
me?
yourself on mute,
Yes.
Eric.
There is an echo.
Sorry about that.
I think you might have your computer speaker or on as well as your phone.
Can you hear me now?
That's perfect, Heather.
Okay, Stacy, you can hear me now then, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I don't know if there's a security issue with GoToMeeting or what, but for some reason I can't hear any audio on the computer.
Okay.
But if this works for you, this works for me. Which caller am I?
You are caller number 3.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure, and what I can do is I can mute my phone when I'm not talking. I can just do it myself rather than you do it.
That's perfect. Thank you so much.
Could we have one of the other speakers try to speak as well so I can make sure that I can hear from this end, please? Captain Monreal, could you try to speak?
I'm unmuting myself. Yes, I am.
All right. Terrific.
Hopefully my
Thank you, sir.
video's on. Okay.
You're all set. I can hear. That's great. Thank you.
Okay. Can you see me as well?
I can. Yes.
Okay. Got it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, everybody, we have about 2 minutes before we get started. So again, I can see everybody starting to dial in, and that's good. And just as a housekeeping reminder, for everybody who's dialing in, just make sure that you mute your computer and speakers and your phone speaker and your video so we don't hear the echo. And also for chat box, we've started seeing some of the chats. That's where we'll be collecting some questions for the Q&A after Heather's remarks. And then if you're having problems with your browsers, we've experienced that Chrome and Firefox are probably the better browsers to use. Okay, so we'll be getting started here very shortly. Thank you.
Just checking audio. Can anyone hear me?
Yeah, this is Captain Monreal. Hear you
Hey,
5 by
Cap.
5, loud and clear.
Thank you. This is Randy Tompkins. Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Randy. Hey, Angie, can you do a sound check with us, Angie? So I was seeing if Angie Martinez, if you could do a sound check for us. I'm not sure if you've got, I see you dialed in, but I don't know if you've got your mute on. Angie, sound check?
I'm checking for her caller number so I can unmute her.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Captain, I don't think she's connected by audio. She's trying to call in now.
Yeah, it says that her code isn't valid. I'm not sure if Stacy's got some control over that.
Angie, if you can hear me, on the bottom of the screen, if you move your mouse, there's a microphone bottom left. I believe if you hit that, you can hit connect. See if that works. I think that worked for me. I connected through the WebEx, not via phone line.
I sent Angie the call-in codes as well.
Okay, and once we get a sound check from Angie, we'll go ahead and start it off.
She's having trouble dialing in.
Randy, looks like your background changed. You went from island living to back in the office.
Yeah, I for some reason I thought it might be slightly more appropriate.
Nice.
I was on a conference call with I'm on the state society, the board of directors for the surveyors, and we had a conference call that was like 4 hours. It was brutal. About every 30 minutes, I'd change my background.
That's brutal indeed. Sounds like a government meeting.
Sort of, it was like a quarterly, board of directors meeting, like you would for a corporation, go over all the budgets and yada yada yada. Just my way of giving back, I guess. Oh, Elizabeth says she likes the island. Okay, you can change that.
Okay, so I still think we're trying to get a hold of Angie, and then we'll go ahead and get started once we hear a sound check from Angie. Might not have video, but at least as long as we have sound.
Hey, you guys, can you guys hear me? It's Steve Duba.
Yes, Steve, loud and clear.
Okay, great. Thank you.
There you go, Randy. Now we're talking party.
Exactly. Everybody seemed to like the island background.
Okay, I still think we're waiting on Angie.
Yeah,
Stacy, did we get the comms from Angie?
Angie, I think you're on.
oh, there you go. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
I cannot get it. Every code I put on the phone, it keeps saying it's not valid, it's not valid, it's not valid. So I can do it through my computer as long as you guys can hear me okay.
Yes.
Yes,
We
we can
Okay.
hear you.
Okay, then I'm just going to keep it on the computer and quit trying to do the phone. Oh my gosh, I literally dialed all of those numbers 1,000 times and it kept saying, not valid, not valid.
Oh, that's such a bummer.
I know. So the computer always works. So I can mute and unmute myself, Stacy.
Perfect. Thank you, Angie.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll go ahead and get started then. And again, I'll just go over, since we had a lot of folks dialing in, speakers and video. Just when you enter just the meeting, please make sure you mute your computer speaker and phone speaker and the video. And then chat box, if you're not familiar with the chat box, there's a chat box function as part of this webinar. And you can go into the chat and you can speak with everybody or privately. But for the purposes of the Q&A with Heather, I asked that we would go ahead and ask our questions or make our comments on the chat. And then I will go ahead and review those questions and provide those questions to Heather and have that discussion. So again, if you're having browser problems, we recommend that Chrome and Firefox are better browsers for you. All right, next slide. So welcome to the installation of the 2020 and 2021 Officers and Directors and Post Awards. So this is the Jacksonville Posts. We'll go through some greetings, and I talked about housekeeping already. We'll have our prayer and announcements and introduction of our speakers, awards, installation, and our closing. Next slide. And now the Pledge of Allegiance. As we all virtually join in, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which it stands,
which stands
one nation,
one nation,
under God,
under God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty and
liberty,
justice
justice.
for all. Never gets old. And now Eric Denfeld will deliver the prayer.
Thank you, Mr. President. Please join together in thought through the distance. May we please pray, first of all, for our first responders, our medical personnel fighting through this current crisis. Please give them strength, endurance, and knowledge to solve this deadly virus. Please also pray for all disadvantaged people across the country struggling to survive this very difficult times. May we unite together as a country and a people. Unto your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thanks, Eric. Appreciate that. And now, next slide. We'll go into a couple of announcements. Pleased to announce that on the 28th of July, we'll have the Emergency Preparedness Committee, Smart Infrastructure Preparedness, Resilient and Resistant Facilities. That's sponsored by Siemens, and Keith Ball will be facilitating that. And then 26th of August is our monthly post meeting, and FDOT will be the guest speaker there. And we are currently planning for our normal meeting space at the Ramada Inn from 11:30 to 1:30, but that could go virtual. So just be prepared. We've got a close eye on the COVID spikes here in Florida, and particularly Duval County, and really are in alignment with our mayor and all our leadership here to make sure that we keep everybody safe and sound. Okay, next slide. I want to just give a call out to our new members and those who renewed their existing membership. So I'm glad to see we had a list on there. We had a record membership year last year, and obviously with COVID having some lower membership numbers, but I wanted to make sure that we called out some of these folks. In particular, we have some good membership from Siemens and Mescal and Associates, Army Corps, our own XO from NAVFAC Southeast, Captain Tom Bistafka, who I'm sure you'll be seeing more of, and some other companies there. Really, really appreciate you. Gabriel Fuentes, EML, Michael Baker, NSAFE, RLF, and Northwind Group. Thank you. Next slide. And we wouldn't be able to do what we do without our sustaining members. So the next couple slides, I wanted to make sure just highlight our sustaining members and just let you know that we just couldn't be an active society without your support and do all the events we want to without your support. So really, really appreciate you being a part of our organization. Next slide. I'd also like to point out some of the things that we've been doing in the community through the 5-Star Veterans Center, through our support of Canines for Warriors, and then our student scholarships. We've really been involved in a lot of these events. Our students, not only from our local universities, but as well high school students as well. So our committees have been very active in our post-community support. So really appreciate what everybody's doing there. And obviously our members and our OND are a part of that. Next slide. And now just a reminder on some of the housekeeping things. I've said it already. If you have any questions, please get on the chat. That's where I'll be taking the questions and providing them to Heather for her after her remarks. Next slide. All right, that's a picture of me while I was in uniform and change of command. I'm on terminal leave now, and the Packers are here in the house, so we're in the throes of packing out. But it's my privilege to introduce two fine ladies today. I'll go with Angie Martinez Girl first. She's really been inspiration to us all. I first met her first coming into this job at a couple of industry days, and she's really been inspirational to me. She's an Auburn grad and our regional vice president here in the South Atlantic. And she also serves on the National Board of Directors for SME Foundation. She is the VP of Business Development at Martinez Construction Services, a strong supporter of the JAX post, and has really just been an amazing person to work with. She's also a former Civil Engineer Corps officer in the Navy, so go Navy on that one. And is part of the Space Coast post. So Angie, she'll be administering the oath today and also providing the regional VP medal. Now I'd like to introduce Heather. Heather is our 101st president of SAME. So it's really, really great that she could be a part of this OND. She's the senior VP of Technology and Innovation at Jacobs. University of Virginia grad with a bachelor's and master's in civil engineering, and also a former Navy Civil Engineer Corps officer with experience in vertical and horizontal construction and design. She's a fellow in SAME and ASCE, and I just really appreciate you coming out to provide your remarks. And so let's give a virtual applause for our 101st president, Heather Wishart-Smith. Thank you, Heather. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Captain Monreal. I really appreciate the introduction, and I appreciate you having me. Thanks also for your service to the Post, and then to your colleagues at the Jacksonville Post as well, to Troy Hamilton for taking the reins, and to Elizabeth May and Stacy and countless others for your tireless service to the Post. You mentioned I am a former Navy Civil Engineer Corps officer, and by coincidence, Angie Gorel and we served together. So we've been friends for decades now, having first gotten to know one another through the Civil Engineer Corps up here in the DC area. So I've been a member of SAME since 1998, and I never would have imagined 20 years ago that I would end up as national president. But then again, a year ago, even 6 months ago, I never would have imagined that I'd be attending Centennial and other events around the world for SAME from my home. But if we're going to adapt and grow, it seems fitting to me that it would be during this year, our centennial year, as we enter into our second century. And particularly once you understand that our society was born right as the Spanish flu pandemic was ending in 1919 and 1920. So for this pandemic to occur right as we are entering into our second century, I think is actually pretty fitting. So I've been asked to speak about the value and impact of SAME engagement, and also touch on our 2025 strategic plan. My goal, my hope, is that it'll provide some inspiration for all of our committed Post volunteers to remain engaged. And I'm hoping that maybe some of you out there who aren't maybe as engaged right now, maybe it will attract some of you to become even more involved with the Post as well. So as I mentioned, I started my membership within SAME about 20 years ago. I'm going to provide you a little bit of history and put it in context. I joined because I was attending the Civil Engineer Corps Officer School. This was in Port Hueneme, California, and it was the instructors who encouraged us as students to attend. Basically, it was one of those things where they said, you know, you can go and eat in the galley like you do every day, or you could go over to the Officers Club, have a nicer meal, and get to know something about SAME. So that's what I did. So it was the instructors who encouraged my classmates and me, and then the members of the Port Hueneme Post who really ended up encouraging us to join. But then my membership went dormant. I really wasn't active while I was on active duty. It wasn't until I moved to KBR where I was recruited into SAME involvement and supported by distinguished fellow Linda McKnight. Angie was another one of those younger KBR employees who was also recruited, and she got us to go to the JETC and to other Post meetings in addition to national meetings. While I was at my first national JETC, it was Paul Soto, who was the new young member council vice chair. He then became the chair. Who recruited me, and then I was recruited onto the board of direction by, at the time, Executive Director Bob Wolf. After some time, Captain Karen Lynn, another retired, now CEC officer, nominated me for the Tudor Medal. I was recruited onto the Northern Virginia Post board of direction by Mary Anderson. And then Captain Lynn nominated me for a fellow right at the 10-year mark. And I guess I've been told that back when the young member requirements were a little bit younger, that I was the first to become fellow while I was still under age 35. I joined the Savannah Post at the invitation of Gwen Parker, the board of direction there. And then I had some other involvement to include, I became vice chair of the Academy of Fellows at the invitation of Linda McKnight and Bob Wolf. I joined the investment committee back when Joe Schrodel became the executive director, became a national vice president at the encouragement of Joe Schrodel, and then ended up being nominated for president-elect at the encouragement and mentorship of past President Mike Blunt, as well as some of our other presidents, former presidents. So throughout all of these positions, all of these engagements, I've grown as a leader, I've grown my network, I've made lasting professional friendships that have benefited both me and Jacobs. And yes, I volunteered, I gave many, many hours of my time, but I really think that I gained much more. But did you notice anything? It was individuals, each of the people who I mentioned and so many more, those individuals are the ones who reached out and asked me to join, encouraged me to get involved. They sponsored me and they nominated me. And without these individuals, I don't think that I'd be as involved in SAME as I am today. These individuals were the ones to encourage or nominate me. But there were many, many others along the way. There were managers who provided funding, especially in a billable hours culture that so many of us are part of. There were fellow members of SAME who provided encouragement. And there were young members who I've mentored and who have then provided me with insight into their view of the industry. And really, that's what it's all about. Today, at this meeting, we're celebrating those who are being recognized for their SAME service and engagement. Each of the individuals and companies being recognized today was likely recruited and encouraged by someone else, just as I was. So these individuals, after having been encouraged and sponsored and nominated, they've seen the benefit of SAME. And I'm really hopeful that all of them being recognized and everyone here participating is now going on to recruit and encourage others as well. As we celebrate the 100-year anniversary of SAME, we're focused not only on celebrating our past, but we're also really looking to build a strong future. And we're building that strong future during a time of a pandemic, during a time that we are now focusing much more heavily on racial inequities that should have been focused on for quite some time. It's long overdue. And as we move forward into our second century with that landscape, we're focused on delivering sustainable value and impact through strong engagement by our members and volunteers. And our theme is, let's get it started. So a little bit of history. We have a really proud legacy. If you're not aware, the 30th Vice President of the United States, Charles Dawes, served as president of SAME at the same time, concurrently with when he was serving as Vice President of the United States. And General of the Army Douglas MacArthur, he was a charter member of SAME. A great quote from him is he said, "I have been a member of this society since its inception. I have belonged to many distinguished groups, but none in which I have a greater sense of honor than in the Society of American Military Engineers." We've just gone through our second 5-year strategic plan. Prior to this, the plan was changed each year. Each new president came in with their individual goals and vision. But our strategic plan for 2025 is in place to make sure that we're providing that sustainable value and impact as we start our next century. Our mission is to build leaders and lead collaboration among government and industry to develop multidisciplinary solutions to national security infrastructure challenges. And our vision is to serve our nation as the foremost integrator for leadership development and technical collaboration within the AEC profession. So the outcome, what is it that we're trying to achieve with our 2025 strategic plan? We're looking to set the industry standard for active membership, active engagement that creates real impact for the nation and profession. We're really looking to help everyone discover their role in building America's future, particularly as it pertains to national security. And we have 5 goals. I'll go into each of these in a little bit more detail. The first goal is to strengthen industry-government engagement. We commonly refer to this as IGE. The second is to build and sustain resilient communities. The third is to develop leaders for the profession. The fourth goal is to enrich the STEM pipeline for the nation. And the fifth is to prepare service members and veterans for the AEC industry. So I'll start with that first goal, to strengthen industry-government engagement. At the national level, we do this through things like the tabletop exercise that occurs at JETSI each year. We have a CEO roundtable. And at the post level, this occurs in many ways with industry days or workshops, IGE workshops that occur at the post level. I was really excited to see that here in Jacksonville, there's so much industry government engagement between private industry, the post, and then NAFAC Southeast, the Corps of Engineers Jacksonville, and then even the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office. That is really remarkable, and I think it's so important to the longevity of our society to look beyond just the DoD side and into other public sector agencies as well. Some examples of where some other posts have done similar things is the Charleston Post. They convened an IGE workshop to address some of the competition issues that were going on, and this topic was of national interest. So with collaboration and support from the SAME National Office, it actually resulted in input into the joint policy that was developed for the VA and for the Small Business Administration for service-disabled, veteran-owned small businesses. In Central Virginia, that post, they have worked together between the Fort Lee Emergency Management Department and the Corps of Engineers Norfolk District. And the other goals within our strategic plan support IGE, particularly when we bring government and industry together in a really thoughtful way. Our second goal is to build and sustain resilient communities. At the national level, we do this through workshops that are held between senior DoD, Department of Homeland Security, leadership, and our resilience community of interest. And then at the post level, this occurs through workshops with local agencies and other post programs. Another example from the Charleston Post is they participated in a joint workshop. It was a hurricane tabletop exercise between the Corps of Engineers South Atlantic Division and the South Carolina Governor's Office, which was really exciting to bring those two agencies together. Philadelphia Post has held a Resiliency Day, and Tulsa Post has held a Resiliency Workshop. Our third goal is to develop leaders for the profession. At the national level, we're doing this through our foundation, which, if you're not familiar, the foundation was founded several years ago. And in fact, very near and dear to Angie's and my heart, a lot of the impetus behind the founding of the foundation was the passing of her dad, Lou Martinez, who many of you may know, and looking for a way for people to be able to support SAME in honor and in memory of wonderful SAME leaders like Lou Martinez, and also to allow people a way to support SAME in their planned giving. Also on the national level is the Leader Development Program. Angie's been very involved with that. And that's really right now the primary mission or output of the foundation. And this is an opportunity for younger leaders, young members within our society to go off and receive additional professional development in a really exciting way that also results in projects that support the society. At the post level, this can include professional development for young members and leadership opportunities. And here locally with Jacksonville, I was really excited to learn that there is not just one, but two student chapters. I understand that you're reestablishing your student chapter with the University of North Florida in addition to what you already have with the University of Florida. And then at other posts, at the San Antonio Post and the Washington, D.C. and Northern Virginia Post also have local leadership and mentoring programs. That might be something that you all might want to consider. That's really exciting. On the personal level, Caroline Roberts, she's a fantastic example of someone who attended our predecessor program. It was called Emerging Leaders Alliance. This was a joint industry activity that we did with other professional societies. It was the predecessor event prior to the formation of the LDP. So she started out as an attendee of the ELA as a young member, and she's now one of the two leaders of the LDP task force that has now become a community of interest. You take a look at also developing leaders for the profession. I mentioned earlier the Young Member Council. That's how I personally first got engaged with SAME, and I think that's a great example of how we can really try to engage our young members. The fourth goal of the strategic plan is to enrich the STEM pipeline for the nation. At the national level, a lot of this is done through our camps. And if you're not aware, of course, we had to move our camps. We couldn't have them in person. But through our partnership, another IGE example, through our partnership with the U.S. Naval Academy, we are now hosting a virtual camp, and most of our accepted campers are attending that next week. In fact, I'm speaking at their closing ceremony that Friday night. At the post level, we do this through judging science fairs and mass counts, by supporting the camps with mentors and sending campers to the camps. We do this through internships with our private sector industry and through K-12 and college outreach. Here at the Jacksonville Post, I was really impressed. 25 scholarships. You've given over $40,000 away for scholarships. And I understand that you're really engaging well with the students in terms of trying to help them through that continuity of mentorship, not just giving away the scholarship money, but tracking them through and really engaging with them through those 2 universities where you've got student chapters. You also have been engaging over 500 students through STEM activities, and you sponsored 3 campers. So really fantastic results from the Jacksonville Post. I'd like to give a couple of examples too of individuals where this has worked really well for SAME. There's a young woman by the name of Sophia Gold. At the Northern Virginia Post, we first came in contact with her when she was a science fair winner at a science fair sponsored by the Northern Virginia Post. She was in 8th grade. We tracked her throughout her time in high school. She became a camper, and then she became a scholarship recipient. And now she's getting involved. She was involved with the virtual student chapter. She was an intern for 3 summers with sustaining member firm Jacobs, where I work, and she's now a full-time hire. So fantastic example of a student who we began with her in 8th grade, and now, 7 years later, she's now a member of SAME and of a sustaining member firm. Another example is David Bevins, if you don't know him. He started out as a camper, he became a scholarship recipient. He too is now an employee with Jacobs and a camp mentor and the young member chair of the Northern Virginia Post for a while. Now, of course, David got a bit of a head start. His dad is Captain Bob Bevins. If you don't know him, he's just the consummate SAME volunteer. So that's his dad, but he certainly got off to a great start, but we've been glad to have him within SAME. And then finally, the 5th goal of our 2025 strategic plan is to prepare service members and veterans for the AEC industry. On the national level, we're doing this through the credentialing COI. We do this through job fairs and through working with some of the schoolhouses to get some changes to the curricula for the MOSs in order to get it more widely accepted for certification and in the private sector. And then on the post level, we do this through transition assistance, through networking with veterans, and by partnering with veteran support organizations. Some examples, at the Baltimore Post, they serve meals to homeless veterans. I've heard of white Christmas drives, so, T-shirts, underwear, socks, white Christmas drives at some posts. And the Orange County and Sacramento Posts are standing up student chapters at community colleges that I really like, since many veterans end up starting out at community colleges, so trying to capture them there. I think that's a really novel and interesting way to support that 5th goal of the strategic plan as well. Finally, on a personal level with regard to supporting veterans, there is an example of a scholarship recipient from the George Mason University student chapter that I'd like to highlight. George Mason is the student chapter for the Northern Virginia Post, and every year the Northern Virginia Post does give out scholarships. And quite frankly, a lot of these scholarship recipients are top of their class, they go to very competitive schools, but we had this one scholarship recipient one year. He was a veteran, he was working full-time as a security guard, he had a child, and he was also attending engineering school full-time, so a lot on his plate. I'll tell you, when we reviewed, as a scholarship committee, when we reviewed his transcripts, he had attended multiple different schools before landing at GMU. He had a bit of a checkered academic past, not the best grades, not the highest grades of everyone that we saw. But we made the conscious decision to go ahead and give him a scholarship. We wanted to send a message to him that we believed in him and that we valued his service and everything that he had going on. And it literally gives me goosebumps every single time I tell this story. But several years after he received our scholarship, he reached out to our scholarship chair and said, "Thank you so much for believing in me. I was really thinking about quitting school. I had so much on my plate, working full-time as a security guard, having, taking care of childcare with my daughter. Engineering school is really hard. But your confidence in me gave me the confidence in myself to continue on with school. And I'm now working for a private sector firm, and I'm really happy to say that I'm an engineer." And if that doesn't give you goosebumps in terms of the power of the opportunity that we have as a society to attract, retain, develop engineers, I don't know what will. So just kind of bringing this full circle, the Jacksonville Post clearly has an outstanding history of serving our members and stakeholders. I've mentioned several ways that you all have been supporting our strategic plan. And congratulations, I know you were even named Large Post of the Year in 2019. So in addition to some of the specific examples that I've already mentioned, other things that I've heard about, things like joint meetings with other organizations like CMAA, the National Defense Industrial Association, Women in Defense, the National Contract Management Association, and other public sector agencies. All of that is really, it goes so far to support our mission, vision, and values of our 2025 strategic plan. They all serve our members, our stakeholders, and the American public. And the value and impact of that SAME engagement, it just really can't be overstated. So my question to all of you here is, who are the ones who sponsored, encouraged, and inspired you? And more importantly, who are you sponsoring, encouraging, and inspiring? Maybe it's a public sector client or colleague who you've invited to an IDE event. Perhaps it's a young professional in your organization. Maybe you make SAME participation possible for them by helping them register and providing support for their involvement. Or maybe there's a student who you meet at a science fair, like Sophia Gull, someone who you can encourage to apply at the camp and for scholarships. Maybe there's a veteran who's retiring or separating from active duty, someone who you can offer to review their resume. Maybe you can offer to introduce them around at a post-luncheon, even virtually now. Or finally, on the resilient side, maybe there's someone who's passionate about climate change or cybersecurity, and you can talk to them about the Resilience Committee. As we celebrate our society centennial, as we celebrate our past and as we build our future, today we're celebrating with those who have provided dedicated service to the Jacksonville Post and to the society as a whole. Each of these members was likely recruited and encouraged by someone else, and they are clearly paying it forward by recruiting and encouraging others and giving back. And so I recruit and encourage each of you. What are you currently doing for the society to help achieve our mission to lead collaborative efforts to identify and resolve national security infrastructure related challenges? What more can you do? Let's get it started.
Nice. So hey, Heather, thank you so much. That was it was well said and quite the challenge, I think, for all of us here at the JAX Post. I really like that that phrase, "Let's get it started," is in particular as we consider, you know, our 100 years and going into the next century. It really does invigorate and you know, help us to prepare for what we're going to go into the next century with. So on the chat, we do have some questions. If you're able to answer some questions, the first question we had was, what will the virtual camp look like? What's the agenda of a virtual camp compared to the past camps that we've had where students would actually go to the Air Force Academy or, you know, whatnot? Over.
Yeah, thank you so much. That's a great question. It's certainly different. Let's face it. The virtual aspect is not the same as doing things in person. If you've never attended one of the camps, it's really neat. They do a lot of hands-on activities, everything from making a concrete beam and testing it at some of the camps to drainage projects and the like. And there's a lot of bonding that occurs with these really, really long days and late nights and all the rest. So it's a virtual format. It is over the computer as we have right now. I've taken a look at the agenda for the one that's being done at the Naval Academy camp, and they are working to make it as interactive as possible. So there are some, you know, more lectures, if you will, but there are quite a few activities where the students are able to work things hands-on on their own. So I hope that answers your question. I can try to get more information about the agenda itself. And if I can find that, once we move on, I will look for a link to that if I'm able to provide it.
Well, that's exciting, Heather. I guess I can imagine, you know, at the Naval Academy and having, you know, I can just envision a lot of these young folks, campers that have these 3D goggles on and, you know, our glove toggles as I see some of my own kids playing some of the games that would be pretty neat to be interactive, and what a great future we have there. The second question was also about young members, and is really how can we make a connection for our young members to be in connection with or go to the Young Members Council?
That's a great question as well. So the Young Members Council, if you're not, it's a community of interest now. We've changed the name over the last couple of years. But the community of interest is a national body headed by Victoria Meckley, and they have outreach to the various other communities of interest in order to try to expand that young member participation, and really beyond participation, but into engagement. And the young member community of interest also has outreach to the various posts, doing things like providing resources, best practices, ideas for different meetings. And it's a wonderful way to provide succession planning, really, because the young members are the future of our society. Again, that's how I got started. So I think for those who are young members who are interested, please take a look at the Young Member Community of Interest site on the website. Again, once we switch the format, I'll try to put a couple of things in the chat bar so that I can respond with specific interests. But for certain, I think there's a lot of opportunity. They do have open calls once a month where different people, and you don't have to be a young member, can call in. They have different speakers. So again, I'll put that link up in a few moments once we shift the format.
Thank you, Heather. Appreciate that. And then our third question, and I think all we have time for today, is how has SAME benefited from the virtual environment, and will any of these changes become permanent changes?
Terrific question. Thank you so much. So I think that it's easy, it's tempting sometimes to focus on what we've lost by moving to a virtual environment, but I think there's quite a lot that we have gained. And I mentioned trying to adapt and grow as we face a lot of the challenges, but also opportunities that are going on right now. So personally, some of the things that I've seen are, I've attended post meetings just like this where people have put in the chat function, oh my goodness, it's been so many years since I've had the chance to participate in a post meeting because my job took me away, or I traveled too much, or I moved away. I'm so excited to be able to participate. So that's one. At the national level, for JETSI, I saw a lot of the survey responses said things like, I wouldn't have been able to make it to an in-person JETSI because of the travel requirements, whether personal or not getting funding from their organization or whatnot. I'm so excited to see JETSI be in a virtual format because now I can attend. Third aspect is being able to record things. So at JETSI, a lot of times you're trying to run from session to session. You have to pick which one you want to go to. But now that they're all recorded, if once you attend your first session, you can then go and attend others that are recorded as well. So I think those are all certainly very strong opportunities and benefits that have happened. We're also looking to try to, not just try, we are looking to retool the Small Business Conference to make this really strong and stronger as we move forward, to make it more of a market education opportunity. So help our public sector attendees and participants to learn from the industry in terms of what's available, help our industry attendees to learn from the public sector in terms of what opportunities are coming up. And then we're also looking to retool the exhibit hall side of things so that it's more interactive. And so whether that ends up being random speed networking, or whether that recreates how you sit down at a table for lunch and end up talking to 7 other people who were strangers before lunch, a lot of that will remain to be seen. But as we do accomplish all these, we're going to be providing these best practices, these lessons learned, and possibly even access to platforms that we trial for at the national level, at the post level. So stand by, because I think there's a lot of exciting opportunity.
That's awesome. It's great to hear how we're headed into the future, and exciting. Again, it's different for us, but something that we need to adapt and overcome to. So everybody, please give some virtual applause to Heather Wishart-Smith for speaking at us today and providing some great remarks. So thank you so much, Heather, for being a part of this event. And we look forward to getting it started. All right.
Thank you.
With that,
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, Heather, thank you. And now we'll go ahead into the next phase in President's remarks, which is I'll provide a couple of things here Um, first, Heather mentioned it. COVID has changed the way we function. But as engineers and with a common focus on defense of our nation, we just adapt and we overcome. And so I think that's been really encouraging to see, from my perspective. And I've told this to some of you, but of all the posts I've been a part of since 1996, really the JAX post has been the most active I've seen. The members cover for each other, cover each other when they're unavailable. They have common purpose, can-do attitude, and very energetic. So it's been really, really a pleasure to be the president of the JAX post. And when you talk about let's get it started and going into the next century, you also think about the legacy that we have, legacy like Ron Hilton and the background and history, tidbits that he provided us. And Ron and Joyce Hilton, Joyce, his wife, has been very supportive of the JAX post. And Ron, if you don't know him, Ron is a fellow of SAME and joined SAME in 1976 and is a lifetime member. He's still active and provides the post with continuity of history and meeting with the cadre of fellows and events when at all possible. He served at the Jacksonville Post in many capacities, ranging from director, the secretary, first and second vice president to president. And he also won the Post Engineer of the Year in 1977 when he was with the Army Corps of Engineers. So he served on the national board for 3 years, from 1991 to 94. And in 2014, Ron was awarded the SAME Gold Medal Award, later named the Walter O. Backus Gold Medal, for which is awarded for outstanding leadership and accomplishments in support of the SAME mission. So Ron provided me and the other O&D with some of the history of our post. And I think it's important, a couple points to make, that Jacksonville was one of the original 16 posts chartered in 1920 from SAME. And, they've had some ebbs and flows of activity. In particular, the post was very active in 1942 when the Constitution and the bylaws were approved. And then again in 1976 with the Army Corps District engineer, very, very much leading the effort of military and civilian activity. We saw a huge spike in civilian activity in 1976. And then also the 1985 is when the Navy started becoming very active with, again, military and civilian personnel in there. So it's been really good to see the interesting history. And I think it's important to understand and review our history and our legacy because it really helps us launch into the future. So let's get it started. And I really like the strategic plan of 2025. It really is inspirational because we consider our legacy. That provides us inspiration for the future, investment, if you will, in our future leaders, in our industry government engagement. And so, Heather talked about the 5 goals that we have in the strategic vision, and this post has really been active in there. And Heather named a few things. Goal number 1, to strengthen industry government engagement. We've had some panels. We've had good involvement from NAVFAC and Army Corps, even AFCAC, in collaboration with our industry days, our open houses, and our field trips, specifically with the Littoral Combat Ship Tour and the Mayport Construction Ship Tour that we had last year. That was really impressive. Our goal number 2, build and sustain resilient communities. Really, Keith Ball has, and the rest of our O&D have stood up and revived the Emergency Preparedness Committee that we've been involved in with ATFP and hurricane response, and even this COVID. In particular, Keith linked the Coast Guard, our Navy, the city, and the county EOCs together, and I'm excited to see what the future is going to bring. The goal number 3, develop leaders for the profession. Our young members and students have been very active with some of our folks there, and I'll go through that in a second. But I've really been impressed with the mentoring and the fellows' involvement in developing our leaders for the future, not only at the young member and student level, but also with senior members as well. Goal number 4, enriching the STEM pipeline for our nation. Heather mentioned it as well. We've got some outstanding scholarships And we've also been a part of the Engineer Week and camps. And then finally, goal number 5, which I'm personally experiencing as I am transitioning, the networking and the links to the jobs that are out there on the SME websites, personal communications with Mark Hanley and Troy and Eric, Mike Blunt, Ed Brown, Alan Watt, Tony Petrago, and many others. Really, everybody has mentioned to me who's had prior service on how, some of the lessons learned they've had. So that's been invaluable for me as I've been transitioning as well. And so I just want to say thank you as I prepare to pass the gavel. I wish we could meet in person and physically pass that gavel to Troy, but we'll go ahead and do it virtually and just offer my special thanks to our 2019 and 20 O&D. Without the 2019-20 O&D, we wouldn't have been able to really be recognized as the large post of the year. And really, it's to your effort and your recognition that you've done it. Well done. Troy, I'll name you out by name here in a minute. But Lisa Tholey, outstanding speaker at JETC. She's our second VP. She's a leader in her own right, has been a part of the planning and strategy development of this post. So appreciate Lisa's work. Our junior VP, Alex Arnaz, who took over from Jessica Triolo, who both were very involved with the UNF and our student chapters. And Keith Ball is also a part of that as he's working to start a chapter with Embry-Riddle. And also Brian Murphy with University of Florida. Our secretary, Bart Ciambella, really busy, kept records of all our things, all our roll calls, and really our coordination and administration. Appreciate you, Bart, for what you've done for us and keeping track. Membership and relations recognition, Elizabeth. I'll talk about you in a second, Elizabeth, but award-winning energy, enthusiasm, can't go without Elizabeth there. Our education and training, Lorraine Barakner, your camps, your Engineer Week activities, really appreciate all your activity. For the programs subcommittee, Stacy Weber has been just amazing, really phenomenal in putting on events like these. Her energy, her adaptability, she's really a true professional, and it's been just a pleasure working with Stacy, making each event happen. Our scholarship subcommittee, Bill Price, with 15 college students and 4 high school students, and with the scholarships that we've provided, has really done a wonderful job. Appreciate all the effort you and the subcommittee have been doing, Bill, and your leadership there. Emergency preparedness, I talked about that. Keith has just been remarkable. He revived a focus on emergency preparedness and disaster recovery, numerous webinars that have been held and planned, really answering to strategic goal number 2. And he's done a phenomenal job. So, Keith, appreciate your leadership in doing that. In leadership and mentoring, Tim Geisen has been consistent in our meetings and voicing his opinions and just giving us some good things to think about. Sustaining members, Ed Brown has been one of my personal mentors for years. So, Ed, appreciate what you've done for keeping the sustaining members active in our post. Our endowment, Chris Baruch, keeping us financially healthy through this tough time. I think it's important for us to review this, and it's just been awesome. Young members, we talked about Jessica Triolo and Alex Arnaz, very active at UNF and University of Florida with Brian Murphy, and again, Embry-Riddle with Keith Ball. It was a pleasure to go to the student chapter meeting. I went to at least one, and it's just good to see them there and understanding, hey, what this is all about. The mentoring, the attendance at the post meetings we've had has been really phenomenal. They're really a good solid link between academia and the post, with 44 students and 55 young members, very active. Communications, Brian Murphy, in his own right, has Navy heritage in his blood, kept our website going, which was absolutely critical to our information flow during COVID-19. He has been just phenomenal in providing newsletters, tracking views, and helping us get an understanding. In particular, he developed a web form for scholarship program submissions that was really effective this year. So appreciate what you've done, Brian. Finance, Lisa and Dave Millinor, you've done a great job tracking a lot of what we do, our budgets, flexibility, and being able to shift our budgets, especially as COVID-19 hit. We were, short in some areas because we physically weren't getting together, but we were able to kind of come back and make some decisions on the fly at our O&D monthly meetings. Appreciate your support, Lisa and Dave. For our fellows, Mike Blunt, who's just recently moved to the region, and Ed's taken over for him. Again, Mike, a personal mentor of mine, giving me a lot of good advice. And also with the amount of fellows that JAX Post has been producing, obviously you see a common denominator there, and that's Mike Blunt, who's, like Heather had mentioned, has taken a personal interest in a lot of the development of our fellows. And so you can see the results of that from our JAX Post. Thank you, Mike. And Puerto Rico field chapter recently started up in this past year. Patrick Balcazar and Tony Betrego, who's really helped revive that field chapter. So it's exciting to see what the future is going to hold. I would love to get down to the San Juan chapter and physically be there and take a look at that. That would be awesome. We'll see if we can do that in the future. And we're also starting to look up have a field chapter in Guantanamo Bay. So I hope to see that come to fruition in the next year. So we'll have a couple field chapters there. That would be awesome. And Cindy Miller was also a past regional VP that she's been a part of, along with Angie Gurral, and just have just been blessed with good leadership across the board. And then finally, some key members and advisors that have been very active in the Post: Tony Betrego, Alan Watt, Randy Tompkins, Brian Files, Tom Fallon, Eric Denfeld, Noel Anderson, and past President Doug McCutcheon. Without your input and without your advice and activity behind the scenes, we just could not have done it. So for all of you, I wanted to personally call you out and say thank you. And now I'll go into the actual awards that we've seen this year. And first slide is awards large sustaining member. That is NAFAC Southeast. Oh, imagine that. Hey, it's been my honor to lead, command NAFAC Southeast, but also link that with SAME. I saw a lot of support both from our military personnel and civilian personnel, and it's been my honor to do that. So NAFAC Southeast, congratulations on large sustaining member. Next slide. The medium sustaining member, and I think our slides are catching up there. Our medium sustaining member is RSNH for their consistent support to the Post, both in attendance to meetings and the many volunteer hours provided to the Post activity by many in their team. Thank you to RSNH. Our next slide, small sustaining members, we've got two: CSI Geo for their consistent support to the Post, both in attendance to meetings and the many volunteer hours provided to the Post activities by many in their team. And also to Prosser for their consistent support to the Post, both in attendance to the meetings and the many volunteer hours, their graphic content, production for the monthly flyers, industry day, special event collaterals, representation at Post meeting, and representation on the Post board of directors. Prosser has been amazing, and we just thank you. I know Mr. Prosser was one of the Post members and officers, and I know he'd be proud to see Prosser so active today. Moving on to awards and member of the year. Wow, Elizabeth May Prosser. So Elizabeth, a great photo on the slide. Really like that. It says a lot about you. Just energy. The energy Energizer Bunny is kind of what I think about. Just endless energy there. Really, Elizabeth was the driver between membership growth and 14% last year. Is just amazing how we saw that recognized by the national, and just really amazing what Elizabeth has done. Her attitude in overcoming the toughest of situations, even with COVID-19, she was a lot of the reason why we were able to do what we do today. So she, in particular, linked us with other co-hosted events like NDIA, as Heather mentioned, the Women's in Industry Defense, and NCMA. Really just had her ideas and energy and all that we've done. So appreciate it, E, for all that you've done. Very proud Air Force veteran as well, and also a mentor of mine, dare I say, a good friend. Thank you, and appreciate what you do, Elizabeth. Now the next award is the Young Member of the Year, Summer Roseborough. Summer has been going generally unnoticed by most of the members, but I tell you what, if her work wasn't done, we wouldn't have a fully functional post. She's willingly undertaken the monthly duties of pre-meeting setup, registration, breakdown, and a task she undoubtedly finds the most interesting, which is name badge coordination, which was very hard, especially with senior officers like myself kind of taking the name badges, and she would kindly remind me, "Hey, sir, how about your badge?" And there you go. She can be found smiling at just about every post event, and her commitment is very, very much appreciated. So thank you very much, Summer. Next slide. Our awards, we had a special award this year that we came to provide, and that was COVID-19 Response Hero Award. That was really just to highlight what our members have been doing, and in particular, who's been doing a great job in this COVID-19, something that was directly impacting. And we want to recognize David Dudley of Army Corps here at the JAX post. And he is the Chief Design Branch Engineering Division district lead here at the Jacksonville district. And he was the lead for the Army Corps Alternative Care Facility mission, which was really impressive. His work included reviewing and coordinating assessments, reports, and estimates, and he deployed to Miami to oversee the build out of the Miami Convention Center Alternative Care Facility. And that was completed in less than 2 weeks during this crisis. Mr. Dudley worked expeditiously to closely evaluate national guidance and state requirements to lead assessment and design teams in completion of work products for multiple alternative care facilities. So, David, just appreciate your leadership, and really wanted to recognize you as a response hero in COVID-19. We're not out of the woods yet, as you can see through our spikes, but I believe that your efforts through engineering support has really provided a way for response for our nation. So thank you very much. Next slide. The Post President's Award goes to Troy Hamilton. Troy is a employee, a member of NAFAC Southeast, one of the Deputy Assistant Operations Officer, and my right-hand man. And I'll tell you, Troy has been amazing. As president and also the CEO for NAFAC Southeast, I was called away on many duties, and some, as Troy would attest, with less than 24 hours notice. And so Troy willingly and without even hesitation stepped into the president's role, and administered and emceed the meetings, in particular the industry day last year, of which we set that a long time ago. And Troy stepped in when I was called away to DC for a emergent meeting inside the Pentagon there with the chief. So I just want to say thank you to Troy. Troy, without you, man, I tell you, we couldn't have done it. And you're just really the rock for me, a sounding board, and I appreciate your support. Troy and I go back a long ways. I was an officer in NMCB3. Troy was there as well as one of the company commanders and senior lieutenant on board, if you recall what that is. But Troy's just been a rock for us and a longtime friend. So, Troy, congratulations on receiving the Post President's Award. And now I'll turn it over to Angie to award the Regional Vice President's Medal. Over to you, Angie. The floor is yours. Okay, Angie, see if we can get you off mute.
I'm going to try and unmute everyone so Angie can speak. So make sure your phones are on mute, please.
Can you hear me yet? It just beeped. Hello. Can you hear me yet?
I have you loud and clear. Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Yay. Okay. Well, darn. Now I forgot what I just said, and it was really good. Okay. So, what I was saying was that my favorite part of this job of being the RVP is handing out their medals and recognizing people. So, Mike Blunt, I don't know if this is a surprise or not, but I'm super happy to award you from your post the RVP medal, and here I'm holding it up. I don't know if you guys can see it. If we were in person, I'd probably give you a hug because I have a hugger, so we just have to do it like this instead. But this is for, Mike, his exceptional service to the Jacksonville Post. Specifically, he is just amazing at getting you guys, your fellows involved and new fellows in the society, and that's tireless work. And he did such a good job that he is now our regional fellows point of contact. So I thank you for that. And also, I did want to mention that Captain Monreal did also say that you were another one of his right hands and a lot of behind the scenes support to him. So for that reason, you are awarded with this year's RVP medal. So congratulations, Mike. I could
Congratulations, Mike. Virtual applause for Mike Blunt.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
It's a little weird. So anyway, and then I think on the agenda, I'm up next now so it's a good thing that everybody's unmuted, for our officer installation. So I'm not going to read all the names because you guys have a lot of officers and directors. I will say before I start that, again, this is just such another cool thing to be able to do. And, kind of like you're not supposed to say what kid is your favorite. I'm not really supposed to say which post is my favorite, but I'm wearing a Jacksonville Post shirt. So, we'll just keep that on the down low. Anyway, so with that, you guys' boards are awesome. Last year's board, there's just no words. Well-deserved large post of the year. So all of the new folks coming in, officers and directors, except for Troy. So Troy, you can not say anything yet. Everybody else, I will ask you and your response will be, I do. And I think you might be unmuted, so maybe we can hear you, but if not, we'll just assume you said it. So everybody other than Troy, do you pledge yourselves to support the Society's strategic plan and carry out faithfully the duties of the offices to which you have been elected or appointed?
I do.
I do.
Look at that, we can hear it. Good job. And now if we were in person, we would have Troy and Captain Monreal come up, and the two of you would pass the gavel. So we will pass the gavel virtually now. We'll pretend like the gavel is being passed. And Troy, do you want to go to the next slide? I think we have a slide for Troy, maybe. Yes. Yay. Okay. Troy, do you pledge yourself to support the Society's strategic plan and carry out the duties of the president of the Jacksonville Post to the best of your ability?
I do.
Awesome. So I now declare the newly elected officers and directors of the Jacksonville Post to be duly installed. Oh, and Captain Monroe said he passed the gavel. So there you go. Look at that. And then before I go, I just want to, something else I'm holding up. Captain Monreal, just a certificate of appreciation. It's nothing, nothing special, but to recognize your duty as post president here for the past year, and I will get that in the mail to you. Amazing job. I'm so glad I got to know you, and thank you for your kind words and your leadership. And the Post would not be the same without you. I know you did a very good job recognizing everybody else under you, but I think everybody would admit that it's great leadership that helped your guys' Post to succeed. So thank you. I can't wait to come home in person. I miss y'all. And with that, I will turn it over to your new president.
All right, thank you, Angie. Can we go to the next slide, please? All right, first off, I'd like to thank Heather and Angie. Heather, thank you so much for the SAME National Update and your words, inspiring words to get us back on track and moving in the right direction. Angie, thanks again for the oaths and Mike Blunt's RVP award. think that's fantastic and fitting for this virtual arena that we're in. So like to thank all those who are attending the virtual meeting. Especially want to thank the 2019-2020 officers, board members, committee chairs, and of course, congratulations to the incoming officers, directors, and committee chairs and members. Want to thank you to Captain Monreal and the board for trusting me to lead as your new post president. Look forward to the next year, continuing to make this a great post as it has been for many years. Just a note, you see at the bottom, just a reminder, the 28 July Emergency Preparedness Seminar, that is less than a week away. So please go ahead and go on and register for that if you could. All right, and the next slide. There we go. So yesterday, I had the pleasure of stopping by Captain Monreal's house. As he mentioned, he's right in the middle of packing out. But I had the post-president plaque, gavel plaque that we call, to hand to him. So I wanted to make sure he gets it literally before he starts packing out today. The movers are coming, and want to make sure he got it. So I stopped by his house here on base, and as you can see, he's definitely in his Texas A&M Aggie gear. In the middle of packing, you can kind of see the behind him, everything's getting organized and all. So he's in the full throes of moving to Texas. I'll note his wife Stephanie said, "Yeah, this is their 18th move. I believe it's about 28 years. So 18 moves in 28 years. Definitely want to thank you for your service, sir, and hopefully we won't." We'll continue to see you, and you'll come back to JAX. So thank you for your leadership and mentoring. Thank you for helping make us the best post of the year. We'll miss you and hope to see you back here in the near future. As you said, fair winds, following seas, and safe travels to your new home in Texas. And don't be a stranger. So with that, appreciate everybody's attendance. That's it for today's meeting, and hopefully we'll see you next Tuesday on the 28th. So thank you very much. Signing out.
Bye, everybody.
Okay, so how do you hang up?